with a quote. What's your favorite quote?
I want to do to you what the wind does to the cherry trees. Pablo Neruda.
168 destinations, 13 passports, and this question. What's your favorite holiday destination?
I think I would say many parts of the world, but the most favorite will always be the Faroe Islands.
Wow. And where is that for people who don't know and me?
It's somewhere between Finland and Greenland. It's a country which energizes itself into complete green during summer, and there's only summer sun 24 hours, and after that it becomes completely an ice-trodden sort of landscape, and it's fascinating to see that change of nature.
When you're not traveling, what's the one thing that you like to do in your free time?
Read, probably introspect, look at biographies, talk to old friends, write and draw and sketch.
What's the one word you use the most?
One word that I use the most, I think, is montage.
Montage. Okay. What's the last book you read?
I think Zen and Leela.
What irks you easily?
I think the joy of space. It could be looking at a woman in her eyes. It could be great food. It could be proximity with a person, or it could be conversation.
What is your thinking spot in your office?
It's my drawing board.
3 words you use to describe yourself.
Invincible, able, naughty.
You didn't mention charming. If you had a superpower, what would that be?
I would change the world and make everybody equal financially.
Were you the kid who sat in the front row or the last row?
I was always in the front row. I always got the best marks. I was always 100 in physics, 100 in maths, 100 in biology. When I didn't get, I would want to kill the teacher.
Who is Ravi outside his office?
That's complicated. I am a dichotomous person. I can see myself being this and that. And I like to be multichotomous because I do not think I am one person. I am a person who is encompassed with the nature that has taught me to be what I am in many layers. So I like to recognize that multiplicity of existence rather than me recognize something else is what I can be.
Do you want to take us to your drawing board now?
Absolutely. Let's walk up.
If you weren't an architect, what would you be?
I think I would have been an artist, somebody who would like to paint colors, who would like to create compositions. I always wanted to be an artist, and being an architect was only an advantage beyond that.
If you could live anywhere else in the world, where would that be?
I think I could live in Bali, or I could live actually in Ubud, not even Bali. I could live being an Indonesian, going back to, historicity of living, being conscious about culture, being conscious about being austere and recognizing nature as the true living life of connected, to be with the planet. I could be that maybe.
What's the one thing people don't know about you?
I am pretty introverted, as much as people think I'm extroverted, and I'm not a good boy.
What advice would you give your 18-year-old self, now that you said you're not a good boy?
To behave.
What kind of music do you listen to?
I love jazz. We host concerts here very frequently. Every month we bring in artists from different parts of the world. We invite friends and clients, and that's the most beautiful genre that I always enjoy. Instruments where you string contemporary or you string the modern and you make compositions on stage. That's what I like.
What kind of food do you like?
Rice and rasam.
So you travel to all these countries and you come back to rice and rasam?
Totally. That's my root. I love my mother the most. I love my food the most. I love the smell of the earth where I was born the most. So that is something you can never regret or forget. And that will be the root. And that is the only sort of impetus that makes you want to experience everything else from there.
What's the one thing you can't leave home without?
My pencil.
What is the one thing that's always there in your wallet? Other than money, of course.
There's nothing.
Did you have a mentor?
Yes, my mother.
How would you describe the Taj Mahal as an architect?
It's a fabulous composition, and I think they searched for trying to get that precision of accuracy and exuberance to parallel or be the metaphor to the affection that he had for his wife. I think that whole connotation of everything coming together is fantastic, though there might be bits of stories which are not accurate in its semantics, but I think what is great is that ideation.
Can you teach me something?
To love and to be happy.
When did you start your architectural journey?
I think it way back in 1989-90, but before that, when I was in school, I used to make lots of portfolios because I could draw well and I could paint well for my friends and cousins, and so that made me learn and write about architecture. I used to read about the Cholas, about the Pallavas, and about Bruno Leschi and Italian Renaissance. So I used to read all that when I was in my 8th and 9th grade. So that sort of connected me to architecture. I always wanted to be an artist. I also won a Russian medal for some composition that I did about women gathering together in a certain space. So, but this always wanted me to be an artist, but for some reason, somehow in that journey, I realized that I can do both, but now I'm more an architect and no more an artist.
Any budding architect you admire?
There are many, but Peter Zumthor is somebody that I totally admire, who's living today. His sense of connect to materiality and the expressions of that metaphor and experience that he brings to architecture through material, I think fascinates me a lot.
What is the biggest attraction of being an architect?
To be what I am.
What is the biggest challenge of being an architect?
Is to learn to draw, is to learn at every moment to create something that is intuitively accurate. Every time I do anything or draw anything or try to create anything, I still feel the nature of incompleteness in what I do. And for me, that posture of conversation is always complicated.
So do you think that you ever manage to get art right? Is there ever a moment where you're thinking, oh no, this is not the right line, oh no, this is not the right color?
Oh, it's a journey, and for me, it's very difficult for me to create the absolute or recognize any object as the absolute. For me, it's always conversation, and it's always a posture of what Krishna told Arjuna about being Sthita Prajna. You are neither there nor here. So for me, it's always such a moment where I'm staring at both and still wonder.
What's your signature style?
To be textured, to bring in a lot of natural light, to be tropical as an animal, and to bring the experience of outdoors to the indoors.
Do you have a goal?
Not very sure. For me, the journey that I live is my goal. There is nothing called attainment. I think every moment, every person, and every breath that you take and grab is joy and ecstasy.
What is your biggest achievement in your career? What do you think is your biggest achievement in your career?
I think the biggest achievement was when I was walking in Jamaica, and there was this one person who suddenly turned around and came to me and said that you had the most beautiful, attractive eyes and chin that created a perfect composition for making a conversation with. So I was surprised. I think that's what made me feel very happy.
What are the biggest design mistakes according to you?
Is not being able to build an organization, not being able to build a team that is coherent to sing the song that I think could be a possibility, is where I see myself that I fail.
A quick checklist to keep in mind while designing a house.
Light, air, reduce use, recycled use.
Offbeat architectural marvel in the country according to you?
Most of buildings done by Charles Correa, I think, are fantastic. I was always his chauffeur when he was here in Bangalore. I think the experience that I see in his work, in every piece of work, there is a certain sense of introspection and wake up to that epistemology, which is joy.
What is the material you love working with?
Brick.
What is your architectural dream?
is to be in that one silent space which has no connotation of religion, caste, or elements of sexuality.
What's your take on the Make in India concept?
It is very difficult to understand that spirit of Be India and want to make in India, because we are by default a globalized society. We have grown into that realm. How much ever we seek, I think it'll be very difficult for us to be what we think we can be. But the effort to try and be local, I think, is very, very important. I don't even want to go to the northern edge of the planet or the southern edge of the planet. If I'm able to build most of what I can do in my proximity, then I think my success story is complete.
What is your initiative towards being an eco-friendly architect?
I think is to let people breathe the natural air as much as you can be. And today, the COVID-19 has taught us that that is the most primordial necessity that we must learn to enjoy.
What is your advice to clients?
Is to be surreal and to be austere, not build everything in rabbit fur.
One thing you would have done differently?
I don't know. I think I'm fine and perfect.
What's the one question you wish we would have asked you?
To be or not to be?
What's your pick? Pottery or plants?
Plants?
I think I know this one, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Cement or resin?
Cement.
Designing a national heritage or building a city?
Designing a natural heritage.
Qutub Minar or Gol Gumbaz?
Kutub.
Recliners or beanbags?
Recliners.
Bar stools or ottomans?
Bar stools.
Vertical gardens or terrace gardens?
Terrace gardens.
Friends at the beach or family trip in the mountains?
Friends at the beach.
Paris or Milan?
Paris.
A high budget client with a lot of interference or a low budget client with zero interference?
Low budget client, zero interference.
Any last words for your followers?
It is important to be as pristine and accurate and divine as what a tree can be. It is important to be pristine and accurate and divine as water can be. I think that's what we must try and be as selves. I advise people, don't beget. We are too many people on the planet. Try and not beget, adopt. Don't be married. Live a life that brings more joy to this planet than you can ever be in your own little space of circle. Be the water, be the nature, be the plant, be the leaf.
All right, thank you.